The next muscle group we're going to take a look at is going to be the obliques. So the obliques is it's a number of muscles, so it's a muscle group, and you'll have a bunch of superficial muscles and then deeper muscles, and those are all going to be part of the obliques, and their main role basically is to move the torso, so to make the torso bend sideways and twist as well. So the obliques is a really big group of muscle, but in our case, what we're going to take a look at really is not the front portion here. It's going to stop right where you see kind of like that color change. So you have the abdominals in the front, the abdominal muscles, the abdominal group, and then on the side of the body are going to be the obliques. The obliques attach at the base here onto a number of bones, or actually the same bone but onto a number of locations. So you'll have kind of all the top portion of the hip bone here and all the way into the back. This is going to be kind of the attachment spot for the obliques on the side, and it also attaches at the front of the hip bone here. At the very top, the obliques attach to the ribs themselves. So this is going to be an important feature in where they attach here and how they attach to it, because the obliques are going to blend into the serratus, and we'll see the other group of muscle that I'm talking about a little bit later. But this is a typical feature. This is a very important thing that you need to remember when drawing the obliques, because you'll see you'll have always this kind of zigzag motion here, the zigzag pattern that's always going to be present. So the obliques attach in the front here at the fifth rib. So it's going to be the fifth rib and below. So the obliques are going to attach onto every single rib below that. As you can see here, even the floating ones right there. In this particular example, it might seem like all the obliques are blending, all the different parts of the obliques are blending into one another, but in reality there's going to be different parts to those obliques. So the best way to think of those and how to separate them properly is just looking at the fiber and how the tension is distributed. So as you can see here, it attaches right here and goes all the way down right there. So the way that those sections are going to be defined are going to be all based on those same fibers. So you have kind of like the big section here in the front, and if you want to know, okay, so how does it go back? Does it go like this? Does it go up like this? Well, just look at the fibers here. So in this case, it would just go and meet the rib here at the top, following the same kind of fibers, the same lines right there. And then for those ribs right here, where does it meet the abdominals in the front? Well, it just, again, it follows those same lines here. So you'll have kind of all those different separations that are going to follow the fiber of the muscle and go and meet the abdominals in the front right here. And then there's just one thing to mention here in terms of overlap, and it's going to be there's going to be the back muscle that overlaps the obliques here on the side a little bit. We'll see that a little bit later, but also the pectoral muscles that are overlapping kind of like just the top portion of it here. So you'll never really be able to see the connection onto the fifth rib, because that's always going to be, or at least most of the time, going to be covered by the pectoralis major. Now, when drawing the obliques are going to be interesting because they are seen from every angle. So they're kind of important to draw, but at the same time, fairly simple in a sense. So it's going to be kind of just a continuation of the top and the bottom. So right now there's a separation in between, right? So there's empty space here for the organs, but the obliques are just going to fill that gap. So it's going to be a pretty easy thing to draw. So if we start to look at it from the front here, you can imagine, there's a box right here and another box down here. The main purpose of the obliques is going to join those two boxes. Obliques here are going to wrap and attach onto the top portion of that box and all the way to the pectoral muscles, all the way to the top here. And then of course it's going to dig in a little bit because it tries to follow the surface of the ribs. the surface of the thoracic cage, and then so it goes inside and out again. And then we know that it's going to just stop where the abdominal muscles are. So now we can just fill in. So we know for the obliques that the direction of the muscles is going to be indicated by the direction of the ribs. So the ribs, you know, as they point more and more down, right? So this is also going to be the direction of the muscle fibers here. So pointing down, kind of like following the curve. So we start here, wrap around the body, go and blend in with the abdominal group in the front. And so if we look at it from a different angle, so we have the box here for the torso, and we have another box for the pelvis. So the purpose of the obliques is to be joining those two things together. So they attach like this in the front a little bit, onto the side, then wrap around, and so you'll get this shape now instead, joining those two boxes together. Now the reason I'm drawing a box is because it's going to simplify things when it comes to deforming the oblique. So let's say you twist the body. Let's say you twist this box this way, and you twist that box that way. So this box now is facing us, and this box here, well, we can actually leave the other box in the same angle or similar angle. Now if I am to join those two things here, so I'm going to start from the top and then twist, and the idea is to match this line here. So you start following that line, and then you try to go and match the line again, right? In a curve that's as smooth as possible without breaking, just like that. And then I can do the same thing on the other side. Match the curve, there you go. So something like this. And now I can add the edge here. And of course this corner here is going to go match the corner of this box right there. So something like this. So we're not going to see the back here, so it's going to, we get this obvious twist. So just like the abdominal group, when the torso rotates, the obliques follow the same curve. So you can always draw a curve at the center of the body, like this, the center of the torso, and both the obliques and the abdominal group is going to follow that same curve always. Now moving on here, so if I start to draw it on this side here, so this other angle, well, it's going to be the same thing, but this time I'll make a quick correction. Actually, I'll edit this one as well. So we know that the obliques on the side of the body, they attach to the top of the hip bone. So in this case, you know, it'll attach along this line right here, and they then wrap around and kind of blend in with the abdominal group. So what we're going to do, I'm going to follow the same curve and out, and then connect to the side here. And then we'll have the connection, since the pelvic bone, since the hip bone is a little bit curved here, so we'll add a little bit of a curve, and then it just blends right down here and join in with the abdominal group. And so we can do the same thing on the other side here, all the way to the edge. And then we'll have, I think, follow the curve of the rib cage again, dig in here a little bit because there's no support underneath here. There's nothing to push against it like there is here where the ribs are. And there you go. So now we have the outline for the obliques. So now we have kind of like the basic shape, but of course we know that there's supposed to be a stop here. So it stops where they meet the ribs. And so the way that I like to find out where that spot is going to be is you just trace you cut the body in half here on the side. So continue that line like this, follow the edge. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the curve here for the rib cage and follow that. So follow that curve like this. So it's about the same curve right now. And where it meets that cross section, where it meets that other line, what we're going to do then is connect the dots. So we'll make another mark here right in the center of the lower portion, or this portion here of the pectoralis major, right after it connects with the abdominal group. And so, you know, you take this length right here, and right about the center, right about there, you're going to join those two dots like this. And then this should give you a good idea of where the obliques are going to stop. So now we can erase this section right here, because this is the section where the ribs are actually going to be visible. and where there's going to be another muscle group that takes over from there, something like that. So from there, well, if we want to draw again kind of the direction of the muscle fibers, well, we know that the attachment point is going to be right here, right? So it attaches onto the rib directly. So we can make that a little bit lighter to indicate the origin of this this muscle. So that's where it attaches onto. So just like that. And then, well, to find the lines, then it becomes really, really easy. So we just, you know that it's attached onto here and then it ends right here. So we just trace those lines, continue the lines. And then when you reach the side here, when it becomes, you know, when you're close to this line here that separates the body in half sideways, well, the connection's almost vertical. So you almost go straight down here. So just like that. And then the other lines here are going to be a mix of that. So it's going to be an in-between. And there you go. This is kind of how you you draw the obliques. And then one thing that's good to notice here is at the bottom, the obliques will start to grow only from about this point here. So again, you know, whatever is white, whatever is in the lighter shade of pink, there's not going to be much growth here. It's just more like the attachment point. And so the oblique, really, they're going to gain in volume in this area here. So not so much here. So you'll get often this line here, this bulge, this curve here, that's pretty obvious on most people if you develop your obliques. So now from the front view, we can do the same thing here. So we can imagine that the imaginary line will be something somewhere along, like, well, it will be exactly the outline, right? And then we can stop right about here and go meet the middle of this line of the pectoral muscle. Then we can erase this, and this is where the obliques are going to end. And so we are going to trace the line for the back view as well, because the obliques go all the way in the back. And so let's do the same thing here. Start like this. Follow the curve and then attach onto the side of the hips. And in the back here, well, they only attach to the rib at about this much. So that would be kind of like where the obliques end in the back. And so they would be kind of it'd be kind of like this. Attaches a little bit at the tip of the ribs. They're kind of just wrapping around the body, just like this, but not completely all the way to the back. And since the connection points here, since the ribs, you know, they end right here, right here, right here, the connection point is going to be right straight down. So the muscle fiber, the orientation is going to be almost straight down here towards the back. All right, so we're ready to move on to the next muscle group.